Okay, can everybody hear me? Yeah, coming through okay? Yeah, I'm having to kind of forget that these microphones are here and it's actually mic'd up, so takes a bit of getting used to. But hello everyone, good afternoon. Hope you're really enjoying the conference so far. I'm Rupert Lawrence, I'm Operations Director at TSA, and one of the key areas that I have to work with at TSA is our workforce development offer. And this is something that I'm really passionate about, having worked in service provision for many years. I understand the importance of people delivering services. Even though that we're working with technology, I think that people are at the heart of the services that we deliver, and I think that quite often we miss the importance of being able to develop our tech workforce because we're quite often focused on products and solutions, but actually making sure that we focus on the people delivering the service and delivering the service wraparound is critically important. And I think that I want to highlight today TSA's role in actually working to create the tech workforce of the future. And we're going to be revealing some key developments that we've recently achieved. And I think that you'll find some of the content of this session really, really interesting. But I wanted to really, highlight the fact that the people within our services and outside of our services are our principal assets, and if we want to achieve what we want to achieve with technology-enabled care, then we need to place people at the heart of that, and that includes our workforce. What I wanted to do was start off the session just to get people thinking about their workforce and what we actually think that we need to develop our tech workforce of the future. So via the conference app, which I hope that you've all downloaded and are all using throughout the conference, we've actually got a poll question. I just want to think about your own workforces and what you need to enhance and support your tech workforce going forwards. You may have a different perspective on this. You may, depending on what sector that you work in or what part of the sector you actually work in. But I just wanted you to, ask yourself, what are the key things for the tech workforce of the future? So we've got some suggested answers on there. Hopefully, people can identify with those answers and submit what they think is the most important. And we'll revisit this poll at the end. So I wanted to really look at how we enable the tech workforce for the future, look at who our workforce is and some of the key developments that we're working on at TSA. And then we'll go into the individual presentations from the panel, and they'll provide a lot more detail than I'm going to on this. So a lot of the work that we've been involved in over the last 12 months has really looked at how we can innovate for workforce, how we can really develop our offer for the tech workforce as you would traditionally consider it, so the people involved in service provision, so the people monitoring, people installing tech, people assessing for tech. But what has been clear is that TSA's reach needs to go much further with this. And one of the polling question answers talked about public awareness of tech. And this is something that I'm very passionate about. I think that there needs to be a greater awareness, and that comes from my own personal experience. Whenever I have to describe what my job is, what sector I work in, I always seem to have to come up with the same answers around red buttons and things like that, and it gets a bit embarrassing, I find, sometimes, having to do that because it's just not well known enough. So I think that some of the developments that TSA has been doing over the last 12 months in particular is starting to look at how we raise that awareness with a much wider group of people. We've been really lucky to link in with something called the Tribe project, which is a UKRI funded project, which is focusing on carers and how that has developed through the pandemic, people volunteering as carers and then setting up their own businesses, their own CMEs, and starting to support their local communities through caring provision. And I think that this is a really interesting concept, and it really looks at the actual economic situation within the community and how you can generate investment, how you can generate skills and service provision, and maximise the availability of support for people. So where there's gaps in service provision, how can we actually develop solutions and support people to be able to provide that care and support in their local communities. And via that project, TSA has been really inputting over tech knowledge and how best to acquire that knowledge, how best to deploy that knowledge, and how best to build that up, generally within a different group of people that we would normally be working with in terms of workforce development. So quite different from your traditional setup with going into a tech service provider and helping them with their training. We're actually looking at ways that we can help people to build their knowledge of tech and being able to apply that knowledge. You're going to see something called the Virtual House later on. It's the big reveal for us in terms of this, and I think that it's a really key piece of work that we've developed, and is going to be a huge asset to the wider care and health industry. Because we're going to be able to share a lot of the knowledge that we have within the sector around tech and application of tech and the usefulness of tech. And we've got some further sessions in terms of how we support the development of the workforce of the future with different models of care, a different approach with carer development as well. And the link to standards, and I think that is very, very important as we start to develop the tech workforce and we start to expand it out into different sectors and different groups of professionals. We need to make sure that we've got that key link to standards. And this is where I want to really challenge in some ways. I want to be able to talk to you about who is our tech workforce. I think that what we're seeing at the moment, and a lot of the work that I've been involved in since I've come into the organisation, has been really understanding where the tech sector is in terms of its integration with health and social care provision. And I think that this is about understanding our role and our importance in being able to help with some of the key challenges that are going on all around us. We've seen the pandemic, we've seen the impacts of that, we've seen the pressures on health services in particular around booster rollout and all of those things that they've been involved in terms of that response to the pandemic. And the way that has changed their kind of landscape really. And similar, quite severe challenges for care and how we actually support the operation of care. There are severe economic challenges around that, so we need to make sure that we're supporting that sector in terms of developing the workforce with tech knowledge, because they're going to need this knowledge around tech. They're going to need to use tech to enable us to support care provision to continue and meet those challenges. Things like digital adoption as well. We need to make sure that we as a sector are providing that knowledge and development for the workforce. So just some thoughts there really about who our workforce is and who we should be aiming our workforce offer at. So really pleased to introduce our panel today. We've got a question and answer session at the end for the last 15 minutes as well. So again, via the app you can submit your questions. I hope that we're going to generate some real interest. But we've got some great speakers with us, and it's my pleasure to introduce Cynthia Bullock, Deputy Challenge Director at Healthy Ageing, UKRI, who's going to talk to us about rising to the challenge of creating new model carers. Cynthia.
This is the bit I forget about that. Thanks, Rupert. And I have to get used to the fact that these are just fake, and I've got to talk into this. I can't get anything back from the audience. Never mind. We're out. Yes, conference time. So thrilled about that. So thank you for the invite to join this panel. As Rupert mentioned, my name is Cynthia Bullock and I work at UKRI as part of the Healthy Aging team. So UKRI, great, my slides are up. Right, so just to tell you a little bit about who UKRI are and what we do. So we're a government agency with an annual budget of about £8 billion a year. And our aim is to convene, catalyse and invest in multi-sectorial, multi-industry, multidisciplinary research and innovation to achieve both economic and social benefit. The healthy aging within that is inspired by the government's ambition to increase healthy life expectancy and enable people to remain active, productive, independent and socially connected for as long as possible across generations. We're now about halfway through the program since we launched back in 2019, the summer of 2019, and it's a £98 million investment. So it's a substantive investment into healthy aging. The landscape has changed, the policy landscape has changed too. Chief among them, we think, is the fact that we all continue to live with the impact of the COVID pandemic, which has surfaced from our perspective new issues but also new opportunities. Questions about how we care for older people in their old age, challenging assumptions about what can be done virtually, accelerating changes that we all see in our high street but also in the fabric of our communities. And also we think that the current movement with volunteering offers a really interesting opportunity for greater intergenerational interactions. No one can doubt that COVID-19 has highlighted the value of arriving in later years in good health. In the past 2 years, older people have been most affected, both by the disease itself, but also the measures taken to protect them, resulting in social isolation, inactivity, and fear. And the scepter of undiagnosed illnesses and waiting lists means the future remains uncertain, at least in the short term. In terms of the policy landscape, well, we're pleased to see a formal recommitment by this current government to the mission of increasing healthy life expectancy and narrowing the inequality gap. For those of you who remember the grand challenges, we think it's slightly reframed, but also that it goes slightly further, which is a good thing. To tell you a little bit about what we've been up to over the last couple of years, which we think is relevant to the panel discussion. Our investments span about 7 key areas where research has shown that innovation will have the greatest impact. We think it takes a holistic view of the elements needed that needs to come together in order to provide a fulfilling life. As promised, I'll finish with some examples of investments we've made that are rising to the challenge of new model carers. Bronze Lab, you will hear a lot about them, and the Try project. They have the mission to address the national care inequality at the local level. It includes a digital platform that can both map and predict care DAC patches, where home care provision is either failing or doesn't currently exist. It will also upskill people in those areas of low economic activity and high public service demand so that they can create micro businesses structured as community enterprises to provide that care. Belvie. So they are an alternative model on the Buurtzorg model, for those of you who know the Netherlands, using the concept of what's known as self-managing teams. Teams of around 10 people, well-being support workers, as they're called, work together in semi-autonomous units, managing their own schedules and making the day-to-day decisions on how to provide the best support for their clients. Mobilize. This is one that I was particularly excited about because they came out of our response to the COVID pandemic. So they're a tech startup by carers for carers. They're using technology to mobilize the insights, wisdom and experience of UK's 7 million unpaid carers, so that nobody who looks after a family member, a neighbour or a friend has to do it on their own. My last example is from the University of Edinburgh, where we are supporting a research project aiming to co-produce, co-design and enable uptake of novel products and services that address challenges in the recruitment, retention and enhancement of health and well-being for older workers, particularly in residential care. The team are working really meaningfully with care workers themselves. So this isn't going to be a solution that they develop and then apply it. They are working together to develop the solutions, and they hope that those solutions will help with recruitment, support training and career development. Thanks again for the opportunity to just share a little of what we are doing that we hope is supporting new carers and new model carers. Thank you.
Thanks, Cynthia. Thanks, Cynthia. I thought that was really interesting. Thank you, and thank you for sharing more on UKRI's work there. We've next got a video that we're going to play, and this is from Helen Blythe, who's our head of workforce at TSA. Helen's really knowledgeable around workforce and training delivery. Unfortunately, she couldn't actually be with us today due to some personal circumstances, but she has sent a video that we want to play you. So it's a video entitled "People at the Heart of Care: A Workforce for the Future."
Hi, I'm Helen Blythe. I'm a workforce expert at TSA. Over the last couple of years, we've noticed some of the big changes that have happened across care, particularly impacting our workforce. We've also been aware of how much the last couple of years has shown the adaptability of the people that work across our sectors. Given the challenges that they've faced, they've taken them on, they've picked up new tools, new ways of working, and done so while delivering high quality care that has really changed the lives of the people that they work for. For TSA, one of the big passions for us is about changing the way that people learn about tech and the role of tech in providing good quality care that enriches people's lives. Over the last 2 years, and particularly the last 12 months, there have been a huge number of challenges, whether it's the depleting numbers of available workforce, having to make smaller amounts of money go further, the challenges of COVID and the pandemic, of having larger numbers of people requiring care. We know that it's a sector that's being battered a lot of the time, and we're seeing that in the responses of people who work in roles across health, care, housing, but also for those who are trying to create the right environments for those people to work in. We understand challenges around for everyone, for employers and for those who are being employed. In fact, the CQC survey in December looked at people's responses from April in the same year. And that over that period, they found that 70% of staff found it more challenging to maintain morale and to retain some of the staff that were in the organisation. It's a significant uplift in a relatively short period. And that speaks to the experience that we have when we speak to people on a one-to-one basis and with some of the companies that we work with. So we've been thinking over the last couple of years, how can we do things differently? Knowing that there are all of these challenges on people's time, on the need to upskill fast, the ability to adapt, how do we create an environment that allows for people to pick up and adopt some of the technologies that we have available to us, that we're aware of, but they may not be aware of or have the confidence to be able to use? It's difficult because when we talk about a workforce, we also are talking about quite a varied thing. So a workforce is everything from frontline staff all the way up to senior leaders who make commissioning decisions for a large population. It also includes some of the back office staff, some of the people who are not on the front lines, volunteers, and also for us it includes those people who provide care either in the community on a one-to-one basis or as unpaid carers. So how do we create the right environment for tech to thrive? One of the things that we're aware of is that there is the element of confidence. There's also knowledge about what's available and how to access it. And I think coming with that is understanding how you can pick some of these things up and practically use them in the home, and how you can make commissioning choices for people across an area as well. So we've looked at things slightly differently. We are aware that people need to be able to access this information at the point of need. And to be able to make big changes for the systems, we know that delivering the best care for the population relies on the people having the right skills and knowledge to leverage all of the digital tools that they've got available. And taking some of our knowledge from our wider colleagues in the CIPD, we can look at how we do that. So we've seen that development is shifting from activities that are done to learners to resources that are available to staff to access in their own ways. One of the key things that we set up last year was the TSA Hub, where we launched a couple of projects that allow for people to access information at the point of need on their phones, on their laptops, when they're out in the community, and to be able to quickly grab the information that they needed in the moment. We wanted to build on that by also finding an environment that allowed for people to practice some of the behaviours in a safe space where they could learn, build their skills and knowledge through various stages, and to really become comfortable in making decisions and practically using some of the technology that there is available to us. The TRIBE project that we're working on for the last 18 months is a project that aims to reduce care dark patches across the UK. We've been working with them particularly to create a learning environment to help people understand, to be able to practice, and then to develop competence and expertise in using technology and providing care, particularly as care micro-enterprises, as volunteers, and also as unpaid carers. The TRIBE project gave us a really good catalyst for developing what we're going to go on to talk about, which is the virtual house. Virtual house is something that TSA had in mind for a longer period, but what we did over the last 12 months in particular is we worked with focus groups, with people on a one-to-one basis, to be able to understand what it is that they'd be looking for from a learning environment, what it is that they struggle to understand and to pick up and use, and also for people who are in senior leadership roles, how they could quickly understand what is available and the things that their teams and their organisation are being asked to use on a regular basis. From all of that learning and the focus groups and the surveys, we then started to craft the virtual house. Samantha's going to go into more detail about what that looks like and the practicalities of it. But essentially, the virtual house environment is a safe space where individuals can go in and practically see in the workplace and in the home how some of the technologies we've got here today sit alongside the way that people live their lives. Samantha's going to go into a bit more detail now about what that looks like and give you a tour around the house. But the great thing about the property, about the space and about the learning environment is that by using game technology, it provides a modern way of learning for the workforce that really takes us into a new phase of learning across the sector. It makes it much more accessible. It also makes it so that people can really place themselves in the environment and think about how they can use and adopt some of these things. Over to you, Samantha.
As Helen has already introduced, I'd now welcome Samantha Davis, who's our workforce manager at TSA, who's going to demonstrate the virtual house.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. Oops. Just make sure everything comes up. As Helen's mentioned, the last couple of years have provided invaluable insights into the adaptability of our workforce. It's also given us the chance to appreciate our workforce more, their commitment, their ability to adapt. And we know that we're facing several challenges: depleting numbers of available workforce, rapid digital transformation, and having to adapt to new tools quickly. The workforce is so varied. When we talk about the workforce, there's a huge range of people that this encompasses, and from all levels of an organisation. We're talking about frontline staff, but also the people at a senior level who are making commissioning choices about place-based models of care and making decisions about large pieces of commissioning. So the workforce that we're talking about is huge, and we need to make sure that we're developing a virtual house in particular. We had to make some choices and understand how we can create something that works for everyone. We spent a lot of time understanding the needs of both professional and informal carers. Starting from the frontline element of this, we conducted a variety of workshops, one-to-one interviews, surveys with people who both provide care and also those who are on the receiving end. We worked with our partners at Carers UK to draw on some of the great work that they've done in speaking to people who provide informal care, and we worked with professional carers as well. This helped us to really put ourselves in their shoes, to understand the way that they access information, the structures that they like, and also for them to co-develop with us the design for the virtual house to ensure that when it came to delivery and it came to use, it was really fit for purpose. The house itself uses innovative gaming technology. The reason that we made choices about not using photos and realistic environments was for a few reasons. One is that we didn't want it to be too literal. But the other is we found that from a learner's perspective, we could better focus our attention by not having it in photorealistic property. This virtual environment also gives us a flexibility and appeal to dip in and out and to add VR technology as an overlay so that people can really experience this as if they're stood in the environment. So now I would like to introduce you to... the video's not playing. Bear with us. There we go. So, ta-da! So now I would like to introduce you to the house, and just to really bring it to life for you. And we're going to start in the front garden. By pressing the front doorbell, you're introduced to Joe, our client. Then as you enter into the house in the hallway, you can explore the technologies in the area which are highlighted by pink hexagons. This gives you the opportunity to see the technologies and solutions in situ, and the 360-degree scroll bar makes it easy for you to explore the area, whether you're looking at the house on a computer, a tablet or a mobile. You can learn more about specific technologies by clicking on the pink hexagons, where a new screen opens and gives you details of a description of what the technology is, the ways in which it can support a person, and for somebody who might want to find out more, there's also a How Can You Find Me section. At the bottom of the page, there's also an option to download this information as a PDF to make it easier to share with somebody or maybe refer to later. Now, I'd like to show you more areas of the house. The blue areas, the blue hexagons are each labelled with the room or the area that they'll lead you into. Obviously, for demonstration purposes, we've hidden some of the pink hexagons, but you can still see the technologies and the solutions in each area. Also, in the live house, you won't be viewing the areas from the ceiling. You'll be walking around the house, so you'll see it through the eyes of a client. We were also asked to include a filtering feature to enable people to reduce the number of technologies if needed. At the top right of the screen, you can see that there are currently 33 technologies in the lounge. Using this filtering feature, a member a menu appears, and you can reduce the number of technologies depending on your area of concern. Then by clicking View, you get to see the technologies in the lounge, and again use the scroll bar at the bottom of the screen to view them. Oops. We've also included a quick move feature. This enables you to move to a specific area within the house. This feature shows you a map of the house and indicates where you are currently. And if we wanted to move to the back garden, by simply clicking on the garden and pressing the Move Here button, you are instantly taken to that area. We know that tech is about more than just the gadgets. So we've created a series of courses that, in conjunction with the virtual house, enhance the knowledge, skills and behaviours of someone wanting to learn more about tech. In the advocate level, we begin with the basics by describing what tech is, the benefits of using tech, and how it can help to achieve positive outcomes for users, carers and families. We've developed the skills and behaviours for people with a digital or a tech mindset to have meaningful conversations with people and guide them to match a person's needs and interests with tech. Using friendly terminology and creating an understanding of a person-centred approach, and to use a popular catchphrase from the sector, one size does not fit all. Once they've completed and passed this course, they'll be awarded with their first digital badge as an advocate. For the practitioner level, building on what they've already learnt, we begin to provide more in-depth information and understanding of the types of technologies available and where they can obtain them. Developing their understanding of risks and the role that tech can play in mitigating them. We also introduce the role of the responder and the importance of ensuring that the solution is continuing to meet the need of the person. We explore ethics, safeguarding and understanding what valid and informed consent is. On completing and passing this course, they are awarded with their second digital badge as a practitioner. For the expert level and building again on what they've already learnt, as a practitioner we explore risks, consequences and accountability in more detail. By now they'll have a good understanding of what risks are, but in this level we develop the understanding of accountability and personal responsibility in selecting, using and recommending tech. We explore the importance of strength-based conversations and their role in identifying and recommending tech, and how tech's not just a means to mitigate risks, but can enrich lives. As with the previous levels, there will be a quiz. There will be directed to the virtual house, but in this instance we'll be giving them personas or case studies, if you will, so that the person is asked to identify what the risks are and then identify the solutions. On completing and passing this course, they will be awarded with their third digital badge as an expert. One of the things that we know is that being able to really immerse yourself in this type of environment gives you the opportunity to develop skills more rapidly. Because you have the opportunity in a safe environment, without people watching you, without people observing, to really understand and put yourself in the shoes of someone who would benefit from engaging with tech. It means that you understand things much quicker than if you're reading something, but also faster than if you're in a room with other colleagues going through the same process. What's important for us is that this isn't just about knowledge. This is about developing the mindset and behaviours that allow people to pick up and use this on an ongoing basis, so that there's a sustainable change in both organisations, individuals, going forwards, so that they can take tech and technology and the digital tools as one of their suite of tools, one of the things in their toolbox, so that when they're looking at how they can provide a rounded care experience with someone and really enrich their lives, tech is a part of their decision-making process. And that's true whether you're a part of the healthcare or housing workforce, whether you're a formal carer or an informal carer, it's something that they can all dip into. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Samantha. I think that hopefully everybody agrees that the virtual house just looks absolutely fantastic, and I think the idea around the digital badges is a really great development. So I'm going to hand over next to Helen Rudkin, who's our quality manager here at TSA, and she's going to talk about the key links to standards and the development of standards. So thank you, Helen.
Thank you, Rupert. Okay, so good afternoon, my name is Helen Rudkin and I'm the Quality and Improvement Manager for Tech Quality. Today I will walk you through the quality standards framework and how this is developing and evolving to ensure it remains relevant in our rapidly changing industry. The QSF, the Quality Standards Framework, is a scheme like no other. It is owned by the TSA, but it's managed independently by Tech Quality, which includes its own separate governance and board, which ensures the impartiality of the scheme. Embedding quality and safety into service delivery for the service user and the organisation is forefront to the audit process. It is an outcome-based scheme centred around the service user, continually developing and evolving to industry challenges, the health, housing and social care sector, whilst allowing organisations to be unique in their approach. It puts processes in place to actually prevent risk, it drives innovation and continuous improvement. Tech Quality is the only accredited certification body in the tech and community equipment sector, and we are very proud of this achievement. The scheme itself is audited annually by UCAS to demonstrate compliance to ISO 17065. And this means that organisations that are QSF certified can display the Tech Quality and UCAS badge. The QSF is recognised and cited now more and more in tender processes. It is imperative that commissioners of tech and community equipment services The QSF is recognised and cited now more and more in tender processes. It is imperative that commissioners of tech and community equipment services or organisations that outsource elements of their services demand that organisations they procure from are QSF certified. For the service user, this will ensure end-to-end quality and safety through every element of service that they receive. The QSF is developed through the work with our industry partners. We sit on various British and European standards committees, work with regulators, industry bodies and emergency services to identify what criteria is set within the standards. From intelligence we glean from these organisations, the work that we complete in partnership and the outputs from these collaborations, that these filter into the audit scheme itself. As part of our working in partnership, we are really excited to be working with Bronze Labs and Richard Howells, the CEO and founder of the Tribe project. Also Humanly, who are working on the person-centred design, and our workforce partners in Skills for Care and Carers UK. The aim of this project is to eliminate care gaps in England, initially by creating a platform which will encourage volunteers and community micro-enterprises to link with people in need of care where it is currently unavailable. Tech Quality has a remit to ensure the quality of the Tribe ecosystem as an entity, and Workforce are developing learning and competencies for the community micro-enterprises so that they can demonstrate individual safety and quality of service provision. Tech Quality has worked to identify and review the QSF, to make changes and to develop the standards to incorporate the requirements of the Tribe ecosystem, which includes a shift to be internally dynamic and to produce a digital auditing platform. We continually review and amend the scheme in a controlled way. For example, as a result of what we have learned following COVID, we have made changes, and as we make these changes, our Tech Quality team and our certified members also evolve and improve. The refresh of the QSF is completed in collaboration with the scheme members through a formal consultation process and includes outputs from the TSA special interest groups. For both new and existing organisations, the QSF is like any other auditing scheme in the way that it offers support to prepare for the QSF journey. In 2021, we started an initiative to support non-certified organisations through a Trailblazer programme, where organisations met on a monthly basis to share best practice, work on key themes and to shape and review the QSF, while still remaining in control of their audit journey. 20 organisations started their supplier journey in 2021, and many of these will be joined tonight by Sir David Pearson to celebrate their achievements at our private drinks reception and awards ceremony. As you move around our exhibition hall, you will recognise the organisations that are certified to the QSF by the tech quality badge that they are displaying. Our programmes for this year include a proactive and preventative Trailblazer. We had an amazing response for organisations to be part of this Trailblazer, which demonstrated the appetite for organisations to evolve and to learn and to share best practice. We are currently scoping out and refreshing the Responder module to start a Trailblazer in May this year and a Telehealth and Virtual Ward Trailblazer to start in October. For the first time, the proactive and preventative Trailblazers are a mix of new and existing organisations. They will critique the Special Interest Group 11 guidance material and testbed the new criteria for the QSF, alongside the testing of the new digital auditing platform. As the tech industry becomes more digitalised, the QSF has travelled its own digital and dynamic journey to produce a new digital auditing platform. This will allow us to be customer focused, making the audit process easier for the auditee and the auditor. It will improve the enrolment and application process. It will allow for clearer evidence requirements for full and annual audits, and it will help with the mapping of a range of process-driven ISOs. It will monitor auditee progress, controlling improvement needs identified through the audit process, and will help us to support organisations and to link to workforce and training. It will streamline the administration process, giving better control and improving communication and feedback. And it will collect industry intelligence by analysing trends nationally. It will help us with the creation of new special interest groups, create guidance material and provide support in targeted areas. This has been a fantastic opportunity through the Healthy Ageing Challenge to really look at a dynamic way of auditing, and we will be testing these principles and the auditing tool with Tribe and with our wider membership. So I'll show you some of the elements of the digital auditing platform. The auditee will have their own password protected login page which will allow multiple users from organisations to access, which will lead them to their audit and the type of audit they will be completing that year, whether it is a full 3-year or application audit or an annual audit. There will be latest news section to keep the auditees abreast of any relevant industry or scheme changes. The timeline function will keep organisations on track by showing critical milestones. The auditee will complete a simple pre-audit questionnaire which will include basic information of their organisation. The latest news and guidance material will be available in a central point to help with their audit preparation, and a dashboard will be available to track your current progress as you complete the audit. Each module will display the description and key outcomes required, so there's 6 service delivery modules and 10 common standards. There will be criteria, ID and description which will give examples of the evidence also required. As you click into each criteria, you'll be able to provide a narrative, and you can upload the evidence very simply by dragging files into the box. And the dashboard will allow you to keep track of your submission, including the date for your final submission, which will help you to organise your time to prepare for your audit. There is also a chat facility for you to request support. And finally, from information submitted, we will be able to produce national statistics. We will also be able to recognise areas where organisations are requiring further support, so that we can create SIG groups or further guidance, or develop workshops or recognise training through the Academy. So a call to action from you. How are you ensuring for your service user that you are delivering a quality and safe service? Are you confident that you are putting people at the heart of your service delivery? How are you demonstrating and testing this as the case? If you'd like to talk more about your QSF journey, then please do get in touch. The tech quality team is available on our stand, or you're welcome to book one-to-one sessions or email in to us. Thank you.
Thanks, Helen. I think that we had a slight issue with the poll at the start of the session, so actually going to look to rerun that. Not sure whether anybody has had a chance to ask any questions via the app as well. So I'll just try and have a look at these. But if you do have any questions, if you'd like to just indicate with a hand up, and we've got someone with a roving mic who would help you ask those questions. Stunning silence. Yep, down in the front I think we've got one.
Thank you very much. I really like the virtual house thing as a training tool, but I was wondering, did it include the installation of tech?
Cover all aspects, so from a user's perspective, anybody from the general public can learn about the whole process, including reviewing and the importance to make sure that the technology is continuing to meet the person's need. Thank you.
So we had a question from Clive Thomason. Oh, yep, that's it. Okay. Another anonymous one. When will the virtual house be available?
We'll be launching the virtual house in the summertime, so in a couple of months. We're just finishing off the courses.
Okay. Another question we've had, how will the digital auditing platform be rolled out? Helen, I think that would be one for you.
Okay, yes. So we'll be starting to test from April. We've selected some organisations so that we go very slowly. So we'll start with 4 organisations, April to June, so we can help prepare and support them to go through the platform that are completing annual audits. We'll then roll that into full audits for the following 2 months, and we'll support organisations through that. So it will be a slow, running in parallel process. We hope by January 2023 we will have actually migrated everybody over to the digital auditing platform.
Thanks, Helen. We've had just another question from Ian McConville, where you are. So will there be a cost for the digital training badges?
The expert level, there's a charge for that course, but we're also looking to work with our partners Totem and any organisation to create specific tools and courses.
Thanks very much. I'm not sure whether you've been able to access the poll via the session. It is there apparently if you go into the session now. So if you'd like to put your answer into there, it would just be interesting for us to see the results of that. And fingers crossed, we're hoping to get it up onto the screen as well. Hopefully everybody's had a chance to submit their answers now. Okay. I'm not sure whether that's going to go up onto the screen, hopefully at any second now. Okay, well, it's produced some really interesting answers. So the highest scorer was professional development for tech workers, which I think I'd kind of anticipated actually. It's something that I was always advocating when I was in service provision. So we've then got a pretty even split between tech qualifications, leadership programs, more tools for learning, and public awareness of tech actually quite high as well. So that was results of the poll. Apologies, it wasn't able to come up on screen, which is a bit frustrating. But just wanted to say thank you to all of our panel, and if there aren't any further questions, we have got another one just at the end.
Hi, my name is David Hughes. I'm a response team manager at Sanctuary 365's Alarm Receiving Centre, and I just wanted to ask if there was any kind of focus on, so the switch to IP, it's complicated, it's confusing to me and my management team, and we've then got to translate that to frontline staff, call handling staff. and it's really difficult for me to get my head around, and it's so dynamic, it's changing every month and something else. And I just wondered whether the TSA could, help produce something for those staff to maybe understand the core principles a bit more simply, rather than getting it from me, who's not an expert, and I'm trying to convey these changes, and I'm concerned that I'm probably not getting them across in an articulate way.
Yeah, it's a really good question, and there's some knowledge and networking sessions during conference around that A to D journey and some of the practical steps that you need to take along that. So if you can get along some of those sessions. Samantha, I don't know whether you wanted to come in on some of the training around A to D, and certainly Helen, our support for workforce, support for services around that A to D journey in terms of a quality perspective.
Okay, I think from a workforce perspective, then I'm happy to speak with you afterwards. We are looking at creating short workshops so that we can translate. We're used to the kind of dial tones of historical equipment, but we do need to understand the terminologies and the impacts. So I can go through that with you afterwards.
And Helen, in terms of supporting organisations through that quality journey with A to D.
Yeah, so workforce is part of one of the common standards. So as you know, we refresh the common standards and the service delivery modules every year. So we have been working on that, and there are some changes coming out this year. And we will build on that as we go through with proactive preventative. There's quite a lot of changes coming forwards this year, so we can incorporate that sort of IP side of it into there, but it sort of falls under that. But as a quality standards framework side of it, I work on tech quality side, so any support you need in that direction, if you email me in, then I can look at that and I can work with Samantha to help you.
No more questions? Okay, thanks very much for attending the session. Hope you find it interesting and useful. Okay, thanks. Enjoy the rest of the conference.